Hello and welcome to episode 233 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest joining us once again on the podcast. The wonderful Jeremy Franklin has come on the show. How's it going, Jeremy?
Hello. Thank you, Switch Headz, for having me back. I think this is like my third or fourth time. I don't know at this point, but
yeah,
great to be back.
It's been a number.
Yep, it's been a number, that's for sure. Yep,
preferred guest.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. And preferred podcast. Likewise.
Hey,
Oh,
there we
beautiful.
go.
Yes, it goes both ways. There we go.
Numbers do exist, but Jeremy's here to talk to us about WarioWare. Move it! The new and latest entry in the WarioWare series. I think number 13, because numbers do exist, and I looked this up earlier today. It might be number 12. I can't remember. Don't quote me. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about some news. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe final DLC tracks got announced. Pokemon DLC got dated. Twitch app being removed from Switch. All that, and so much more. But before we get into that, how's everyone doing today?
I'm okay. I don't know. I'm fine.
Good.
Things are okay.
There you go.
Great. Well, hold on. No, I'm not going to let you off the hook there. We've had a bit of a drama in the Discord around a mysterious TV that showed up on your doorstep. It's a TV you did not order
Yes.
that has appeared on your doorstep. Can you please update the listeners on the current situation of this product?
I feel like this is exactly why I didn't want to go into my weekends. Just lots of small stuff. Like, I can't complain. My life's fine. I just like a lot of little things adding up, including receiving the wrong order from Best Buy. And like, I just want to get a refund because I don't really need a new TV and it's not that great of a TV. It's sitting here. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I'll probably take it back because I just want the money more than I want a TV.
Oh, are they just hassling you about it, taking it back or something?
No,
No.
they delivered. They're not hassling me about it.
Patrick is trying to be like the Batman or something and like do good.
And just accept
I'm trying to get my money back. I already have an extra TV more than I need. Like, I don't need another TV. Like,
Are you gonna
this
have
was
to
the
go drop
wrong
it off or
item
something?
delivered. Yeah, so like we spent way too long trying to like. Apparently, Best Buy uses some gig delivery service, right? Like not like FedEx
Yeah,
or
huge
something.
pain
Like
in the
just
butt.
something. And so whoever it was, dropped off the wrong thing. It doesn't have anybody's name on it. I don't know where it's supposed to go. We were supposed to get a printer that I was going to take back anyway. So it's really not a big deal. I just like, whatever. I have this TV and it created a lot of ethical discussion and also
That's true.
like,
It brought out the anarcho-capitalist in me. Anyway, I think you should give the TV to your son as a birthday present.
you might like it better than what we
That's
were
what I'm saying, dude. Hey, you got your own TV. That was $40. Anyway, sorry to bust your balls on the podcast, Patrick.
No, it's great.
What
about you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I did a show on Friday called Good Fight Plays God. It was like a late night show. It's a kind of like an improvised video game with like different levels and objectives and boss fights and stuff like that. And that was pretty fun. I had a pretty good time with that. And then on Saturday, I went to a friend's Adam Sandler themed birthday party where everybody dressed up as a different Adam Sandler, and that was pretty fun. I had a good time there.
That's
and
pretty cool. Any great standout costumes from that? Any good? Oh
yeah, there were some good Billy Madison costumes. A lot of people were just
yeah.
dressed as like how Adam Sandler dresses in real
normal life. Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
basketball jerseys.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Sweatpants.
And in fact, I actually went a little overboard. I bought like a hockey jersey that said Gilmore on the back.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so now I've got that. So if I ever need to dress up as Adam Sandler again, I'll do it. But I keep trying to return it, and they just won't take it. No, I'm just kidding. But that's about it. What about?
I ordered a little Nicky costume.
I actually have a big blue jacket. I should have just worn that. But what about you, Jordan? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I went to a 2-year-old's birthday party on Saturday. That was pretty cool. I don't know. Also, her mom is a art teacher. So she had all these like cool little art tables set up, like painting here. Do you get fake tattoos here? And there's a bounce house, and we got to bounce in the bounce house before all the kids got there. So that was pretty tight. yeah, whatever. Still just waiting for SAG-AFTRA, whatever, you know what I mean, strike to end, go back to work. But also I still 100% support what they're striking for. So I'm just waiting patiently. Jeremy,
the AMPTP was like, this is our last and final offer. It'll never get any better than this. It's like,
dude,
yeah,
eat a dick. Sorry.
Yeah, dude.
Just that
I work for the guy, and I'll just say, fuck Ted Sarandos, man.
It's like just
like
that
that guy.
phrasing is just like so shitty. Like,
Yeah.
you deserve everything. Like, you don't deserve anything. So this is what we're gonna give you.
We have a whole army of AI robots that are ready to replace you.
Yeah, it's like, well, then fucking do it. If you're ready to do it, then fucking do it. Yeah, already. Then why are we still talking about it? So clearly they still need all these people, but they don't want to bow. I really do think, though, like, if this doesn't really get resolved in the next week or so, I feel like it's going to just go into January. Just speaking from experience working on television shows, we always have a 2-week kind of like holiday break, like school. So at the end of December, we usually have 2 weeks off anyway. So if things don't get rolling in the next week or so, I think the studios are perfectly fine with saying, we're going to just roll into next year, because we'd get 2 weeks off anyway. So anyway, I start shooting a movie on an indie film on Saturday. So I'm going to be busy, but whatever, man, I'm just vibing, bro. Anyway, Jeremy, how you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah. Power to the people for sure on that one. So yep. Godspeed. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing pretty good. Still just recovering from Halloween stuff. I went to go see this band Clowncore a week or so ago.
How was that?
Cool. That was awesome. It was very cool, very interesting. I don't even know how to describe it. Kind of like metal jazz infusion show out here. A lot of people dressed up, which was really fun because it was, pretty much around Halloween time. So that was really good. And then just been kind of catching up on a lot of new TV, like Invincible and Loki. So both those have been pretty solid. Been really enjoying all that. But it's pretty much been it. Been good. Same old gaming, enjoying Austin.
Awesome. Well, last week we had an interview with Cyan, a couple of folks over there, the makers of the Myst and Ribbon games, among others. And we got lots of great discussion on our Discord, as often we do, with A. Musel, Cool Uncle Vince, Hans, Medium Quality AV, Other Dylan, The Huge 27, and possibly some others. And over on our YouTube channel, we got some comments. We got a comment from Woope862, loved Myst and the remake, and some discussion about VR, which crept into our talk with Cyan. We got a comment from Heidi Taylor, who said Mysterium was amazing this year, among other things. Dylan, I'm not sure which Dylan this is. One of our many Dylan friends.
We have so many Dylans.
Oops, all Dylans. Dylan said, my theory about Nintendo's strange patent that we discussed last episode is it's for a phone. Interesting idea there.
Can I say something about that patent? Real quick? I think I was confused about it, and I think a lot of other people I read online were also confused about it. But after looking at that patent again, it's not that there are 3 screens. I thought it was like a clamshell with 2 screens on the inside and then also a screen on the outside. That's actually just this. You could detach it and flip it around and close it with the screen on the outside. So it is just a 2-screen device. So I know some people were confused about that, and myself included. So I just wanted to clarify that from last week.
And then on Instagram, we heard from Sprowlix, who said that they like David and Patrick episodes. They always slap. Thank you. And we got a comment on Twitter from Kimurato. I'm going to mispronounce that. Kimuratio said, a huge missed opportunity in it being episode 232 instead of 233. David, can you explain? Is that a Myst thing?
So, in the game Riven, the sequel to Myst for the PC family of systems, again, Atris's father escapes to an age which he names age 233 or age 233 because Gen never names his ages because he sees them as just experiments and not actual places with real people, which they absolutely are. So 233 is it's a number from Riven. Yes.
Numbers exist.
Numbers do exist.
Numbers do exist.
If there's one thing you can take away from this episode, it's that numbers exist.
Well, if you are out there listening or watching our YouTube and there's anything we talk about this week that you have a comment on, definitely leave a comment or send us a note and we'll try to shout you out next time. And remember to head over to the YouTube and hit like and subscribe. And we're going to do our news. And like Jordan said, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks we're getting the last chunk of them, the last, 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is it. The 48 new tracks from the, what's it called? The Booster Course Pass are coming out this week, right? Is it Friday, November 9th, whatever that is. Is that Thursday or Friday? Around then.
Mm-hmm.
So they showed off a little video showing off some of these tracks and stuff. What do we think? And this is where we're getting the last characters. How are we feeling about this?
I'm looking really forward to it. Yeah, I've been kind of waiting a little bit to get really back into a lot of these DLC packs, so I'm kind of looking forward to really jumping back in, maybe for a couple of weekends, especially over the holidays, being home with family. My sister really likes Mario Kart too, so it's always a really fun time, kind of hooking it up at the family house and jumping in some games online there. So I'm looking forward to it. And everybody always picks the new tracks too, which I always think is really fun online as well.
Yeah, I'd love to do some Switch Heads get together online racing this weekend with
awesome.
the final tracks. I mean, it really just is incredible how much they've put into this DLC. They've doubled the base game with the number of tracks. It's end of an era that these are finally all coming out. There's also a lot more here than just the tracks. They've kind of sneakily added in some stuff that you can find on the Japanese website, including like a ton of Mii costumes they added in here. There's also a sound test mode, so you can listen to all the music from the game. And I think out of any video game, this is probably one that I would actually like put that on in the background, and just because the music for Mario Kart 8 is incredible. This like big band jazz stuff, and like all the new arrangements for the new tracks are all fantastic as well. So that's really awesome. There's a bunch of stuff in there that I'm kind of forgetting some of right now, but this looks to be like a really great update
cool too.
Yeah,
all
the new
characters have been really solid additions as well.
Funky. Glad they're adding that music, so you don't so you can't just pull it up on YouTube, but you can just open up your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC and listen to it there like everyone else does.
I can keep my Switch in my back pocket turned on with wired headphones coming out of it while I walk down the street.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love it. The tracks on here are all pretty fucking great. I mean, we're getting DK Mountain finally from Double Dash, which is a great course.
That's probably my most excited one out of the pack.
Yeah, I'm bummed we're not getting Airship Fortress and also Dino Jungle. Those were two that I was really hoping we would get. It's just kind of weird. Like, I think the one thing that's like a little unsatisfying about this is that we've gotten like almost every track. And there's not enough tracks left to do another one of these booster course passes. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is like so close to being the ultimate game, but it's not, like they had to call it somewhere, And so, in an ideal world, they would just keep releasing for this game, but I know everybody wants them to move on to Mario Kart 9.
Sequel? Exactly.
Yeah,
they gotta wait. They gotta wait. They're gonna hold something out for 9.
Yeah, for Mario Kart Infinity.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, with Mario Kart 9, I want them to do something new. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to like look like Mario Kart 8.
Get rid of the racing. Just do bounty hunting.
Yeah, just bounty hunting.
Game, yeah.
All right.
Boy, I'm with Jeremy that like I kind of the last couple releases I didn't play that much, so I'm kind of going to use this I think as an excuse to replay all the new tracks, obviously, like everybody said, but like especially the last few. But this is kind of a big thing. So maybe more on that next week. And then we'll move on. Like a lot of NSO news. Obviously, if you subscribe to the top tier of the NSO, you get the Mario Kart for free. But regardless, if you subscribe to any NSO, you now have a few more NES and Game Boy games to play with this most recent October update that just happened. This is kind of an interesting list here. Yeah. Castlevania Legends for the Game Boy. The Mysterious Murasame Castle. Am I saying that right? NES and Devil World NES. My understanding is it's not a very good Game Boy game. That Castlevania Legends is kind of not great.
It's not the worst Game Boy Castlevania game.
It's not the worst.
Yeah.
But that's you didn't challenge what I just said.
Yeah. It's not an amazing game, but I wouldn't call it a bad game. Castlevania Legends is actually pretty decent especially as far as Game Boy Castlevanias go. But yeah, Castlevania Legends is all right. The other two are really cool deep cuts that we're getting that never came to the US as well. I love that they stopped caring about this. Like for a while, they were like, the Japanese get Japanese only games, and then US get shitty games to replace them that were only released in the US or whatever. And now they're just like releasing them all in the Japanese version and the US version. Devil World is a really cool like Pac-Man style game. I think it was Miyamoto's first game that he
as a director
that he directed.
Yeah. I think so.
It's got a bunch of like weird religious iconography in it, and it's a really great game. A lot of people know it from the assist trophy in Smash. And then Murasami Castle is an awesome game. This was developed either just before or just after the original Legend of Zelda. It shares the same like engine. It's built the same way. Very, very similar games. But Murasami Castle has a lot more emphasis on like action and fighting than like the exploration and puzzle stuff of Zelda. So it's a really, really awesome game that holds up incredibly well. I bought that on my 3DS actually right before the 3DS went down.
I recognize it from Mario Maker. Is it Mario Maker?
Yeah.
Where like they have that? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah,
One of the major sound effects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome game. If you haven't played Murasami Castle, you can right now. These are all out. So go play it.
That's some interesting trivia for both of those. I'll check that out. I didn't know.
Up next, we're talking Tetris 99 and more NSO activity happening. A new Maximus Cup is happening. When's that happening? Is it this weekend, David?
I think so. Yeah, it's this weekend. We've got it's a Mario RPG theme, which is exciting. It's got the cute little bebified version of Mario and his friends all staring out at you as you play Tetris 99.
His friends including Papa Gino.
Yeah, or just Gino. Gino and Mallow, Bowser and Peach. But yeah, it's great. It's got Mario RPG music. I love Tetris 99. It's just an excuse to play again.
We're going to keep moving on. We got some dates for the Pokemon DLC. The second round, right? What's this one called? It's the the hidden treasure of Area Zero.
Part 2, the Indigo Disc.
Yeah.
Long names. This is coming on December 14th. So about a month away. Is that, was this Jeremy, I think before we started, you said this was faster than you thought it was going to be?
At least I thought it was. I don't remember how the I guess the cadence for the last, or the two DLCs that came out for the last set of Pokemon games were. Maybe it was pretty similar, but I mean, there's a pretty quick 2 or 3 month turnaround between these. I guess I figured that the next one wouldn't be till February or so.
Are you gonna play this? Are you interested in it?
I'll definitely play it. I'm big into Pokemon. Haven't pretty much haven't missed one yet at this point, so I'm not gonna stop now. I wasn't a huge fan of the DLC for this one. I actually did like the base games, despite all the performance issues that everybody's discussed at length about already. But I did enjoy the base games and a lot of the new Pokemon, and a lot of the new ideas in there for what they were. The DLC I just thought was pretty flavor of the month. There were only a couple new Pokemon and I didn't really vibe with many of them. So maybe some people did. I'm interested to see what they do with the second one here, because at least for the last couple of Pokemon games, Sword and Shield, I think were the last two, right? And I did enjoy the second DLC for that one a lot more, but maybe I'm wrong, but I remember there being more time between those two than there was for this one, because they really focused on legendaries and stuff in that one. But
I'm sure with a rush development, nothing could go wrong with this fucking game.
Yeah,
right.
And
it's not like Pokemon Company's known for that, right?
Yeah, right. And it's not like they haven't really held up their end of the bargain on updating it at all for any of the performance stuff. So
yeah,
it's true.
Unfortunate, but I'm sure it'll sell.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, we'll find out, how this one is in a month and a half or so. Moving on to the Twitch app on the Nintendo Switch is going to be going away early next year. So I've never fired up this app. I've heard it wasn't great. Like it missed some basic functionality. So maybe it's not surprising that Twitch decided not to update it. Maybe there weren't enough people using it to make it worth their while and that sort of thing. But it sounds like it's just going away. How do we feel about this? Anybody care? Not the place to use it anyway, probably.
Yeah. I just think it's unfortunate because there's not really video app options on the Switch. So just having it, even if it was basic, was kind of nice. That being said, I did not use it. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. But the fact that there's like, how many Switches out in the world and there's not even like a Netflix app on this thing is just like absolutely insane to me. So just losing that is just, I wish there was just more stuff on there.
Was it just Twitch playback, or was there wasn't Twitch like streaming direct from the Switch, right?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Correct.
just Twitch playback. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and without the comment or without like the chat too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used this app exactly once, and it was to watch myself. It was to stream myself watching myself on Twitch through my Switch. So I like made like a window of me like watching myself on like through. That was the only time I ever used it. Because I mean, like, let's get real. When I've got Twitch on, I usually am throwing it on my TV and I'm playing my Switch. Like in handheld. So like having Twitch on the Switch, while a fun rhyme, did not end up being something that was very useful to me in the long run. So I don't like to see media apps go away on the Switch. I mean, PlayStation just is losing Twitter upload functionality, which is a bigger story. But this is a Nintendo podcast. But I think we're seeing a lot of stuff happening recently with APIs becoming too expensive, and I think that might be part of what's going on here. But either way, no big loss at the end of the day. I would like to see more of these apps come to the Switch, though.
Well, I don't know a lot about this next news item because this is pretty recent. I did hear about it, but I haven't had a chance to watch this video, so I don't know if anybody else has. But did you know Gaming has released a meaty, right? Isn't it pretty long? 45-minute looks like video about some canceled Retro Studios games. I guess through their investigative work and interviews and such, have some info about different prototypes and stuff and pitches that Retro made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any, I don't know, info you can give us?
Yeah, I mean,
who's watched this?
This is a great video. I watched the whole thing. I really recommend anybody who's interested in gaming in general watch this video. It's pretty fascinating stuff. Pretty damning in a lot of ways. Just about kind of the history of Retro. It kind of goes over like Retro's like 3 eras and how they were formed. A lot of like, it was like kind of the rise and fall and rise again of Retro is kind of what this video is really about. And it really just goes to show a lot of Nintendo's process of canceling games and like what they're looking for in a game when something isn't up to snuff, or if it doesn't tick a box that they're looking for in their release schedule, that they're ready to just cut the cord if need be, right? And so that was kind of a big part of it. There were a lot of games in here. There was like a football game that they were developing that Nintendo canceled. Kind of like an action RPG Zelda-like was going to be their first game that ended up getting canceled. A kind of demolition derby car combat game and some other stuff that they were all working on before they eventually shipped their first game, being Metroid Prime. So, yeah, it's a really interesting video. It doesn't go into the more recent stuff, like from the past like 5 years, where it's like, what were they working on before they started working on Metroid Prime 4? Like, that's not answered. And even in the video, they're like, we're a history channel. We're not like about the leaks and stuff like that. But this kind of stuff is more like about the history of the company, and it's pretty fascinating. And you get a little bit of an insight into like the party boy like lifestyle of one of the owners of Retro and what eventually got him ousted from the company. So there's a lot of like interesting, juicy tidbits in this video. I really recommend everybody check it out.
That's cool. I haven't watched it, but I definitely will after hearing about this. Now, I did read like a little headline that basically said that they were working on some like Portal type game, I guess, before Portal had even been dreamt of at that point, or at least had been released.
Or no, Portal had just come out.
Oh, okay.
The game that they were working on, they pitched to Nintendo and they showed it to them. And actually, you get to see the video of the pitch that they showed to Nintendo in it. It was a really big get. but then they just didn't really
They got
understand
cold
it. Yeah, and then they were like, well, here, play Portal. Like he let him borrow his copy of Portal. And he's like, so we can't accept gifts. And he's like, no, it's not a gift.
wow.
I'm just trying to like show you, you know what I mean? But it's kind of goes to show, I mean, I hear that's something with pitching that it's like, you don't necessarily want to just be like, this game is like this game.
Yeah.
You
That makes
know,
sense.
like, especially like, you know, Japanese studios like Nintendo are very insular and,
Yeah.
and try not to look outside the company too much.
Yeah. That makes
There
sense.
was a really interesting YouTube comment because I skimmed the comments on this video where somebody talked about that and how Sakurai just talked about that on his video, that in Japan in particular, you're not supposed to pitch like that. And at Nintendo in particular, that they don't want it to be thought that they're borrowing from, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that that's one of the things that the problem with their like online system, because we've heard that that's true of Japanese video game companies, that they don't want to like, you know, borrow code from other companies or whatever. I think there's more proof of it. Anyway, something that we have neglected to talk about in the rumors for the Super Switch, aka Switch 2, that's kind of come up here and there and came up again this week, and is a good chance for us to kind of talk about it. I forget even what this game is. It's Kuro, I guess. I don't really know much about this game. We're talking about buttons there's been a lot of evidence that the Super Nintendo colored face buttons for A, B, X, Y might be what the next Nintendo system's buttons look like, because of some screenshots from various upcoming games, including a new one that we just got shown off, where you see a red A, yellow B, green Y, blue X, which matches that color scheme, right? And we haven't had a chance to talk about this, so this just gives us a chance to talk about it, because this isn't just this one game. There's been a few, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up what the other ones were. I think it might have even
it's
been...
might be Mario RPG or Paper Mario.
It's
Paper Mario.
Thousand Year Door. Yeah. It has in the screenshots, it has the Super Famicom style color coding for the different buttons. And now we're seeing that and it's not just that. I think there were other games too. This is like the third game now, Kuro, that has shown that kind of style. So a lot of people are like, oh shit, like that is probably good indication that this game is being developed for
both, or at least
right.
that.
Yeah. so if anything, I think that it's a good indication that we're going to see backwards compatibility. You know what I mean? Because if you've got the color coding on the buttons and they're saying that this is going to be a Switch release, but they're kind of future proofing it for the new system, then that's kind of like a pretty good indicator that it'll straddle both. And I don't know why you would release two versions of the game. I mean, you know, they always still could do that, but that's my like hoping that this is a good indication of cross compatibility.
Also a good indication that it's going to be called the Super Switch.
Yeah, if it's got the Super Famicom buttons. Yeah, yeah.
I think we're going to win this one.
We really need it to
willing
be
it.
that. Yeah, we really need it. It's gonna blow our podcast up.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot else to say there. I don't think there's been any other that I know of big Super Switch 2 rumors, but this one is
or button related rumors in general.
Right, we could have filtered those on this, but there weren't any, so we'll move on. If you're listening to this show, you probably already have a Switch, but maybe you need to pick up a second one or convince a friend to get one or what have you. And so Nintendo has announced their bundles for the holiday season, you know, Black Friday, that kind of thing. There's a new Smash Ultimate and Switch OLED bundle. So it's a little strange because it doesn't have the Smash dock, but it does have the Smash Joy-Cons, which is fine. But you know, people who's been paying attention, they did put out like a Smash bundle. It wasn't like didn't save you any money, but like when the game released and it had sort of a dock with the characters on it and stuff. But
sorry, that was the weird part to you.
Okay, that's not the only weird part, right? Like the fact that this exists at all, I guess, is a little weird.
To me,
is that where you're headed?
No, the weird part was that they're including a 3-month NSO subscription for the game that probably plays the worst on NSO Online. But sure, yeah, great, thanks.
No, that would be Mario Maker too.
Yeah.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
Close second.
Yeah.
Oh man, I play a lot of Smash Online, and if you play with like high up people, usually it's okay. But it's again that problem I think of like the way they do it. Whatever. It's a whole another conversation. The other bundle that they're putting out, which is not a system bundle, but is a game and Joy-Con bundle, which is interesting. If you're looking to pick up extra Joy-Cons and you didn't get your hands on Super Mario Party, which was the first Mario Party for the Switch that had a lot of motion controls where you would need Joy-Cons, probably the inferior Mario Party for the Switch.
Hundo P.
But if for some reason you want that and you want some extra Joy-Cons, you can get a red and blue and not the neon, like the dark red and dark blue with the game. So I don't know how much money that saves you. I actually don't have that one and that number.
It's $100. So, they're saving about.
It saves you something.
About $40. Yeah, something like that. Because it's about $80 for a pair of Joy-Cons. So it's not too bad. If you need some Joy-Cons, I just found my white Joy-Cons the other day. I've got 3 pairs of Joy-Cons. I'm tapped out on Joy-Cons. I don't need any more.
Yeah.
And I've got like third-party Joy-Cons too. So it's like I'm set. I buy too many controllers. The OLED Smash bundle is great. I'm happy to see a bundle that isn't Mario Kart, and B, an OLED bundle. I think this is our first OLED bundle. I think so. Yeah, which is great. So that's good, right here at the end of the life cycle. Getting it out there.
Our last news item, we'll just talk a little bit about the new WarioWare game. In particular, now that the game is out, obviously, we got our confirmation of who is the new voice actor for Wario. And it's the same guy who does Mario and Luigi. Kevin Afghani, the new voice of Mario and Luigi, is also now the new voice of Wario.
So he's going to be doing all of them.
Yeah. Dude's about to be set for life.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Pretty good gig to get. I definitely wasn't sure that would be the case. Makes sense.
Yeah,
that they aimed for somebody to do them all, I guess.
I was thinking about it. I didn't know until you said it right now that was the case, but it does sound kind of similar to Mario Wonder, I guess, a little bit. But either way, playing through both of those games, I was kind of like, if anybody who didn't really know that those voices changed, I don't think would really recognize the difference that much unless they were really looking for it or something. So
yeah, it's definitely a little different, and it's every once in a while it like slips and I'm like, this is a young man speaking and not like an old stout farting monster. But like for the most part he's great, and he gets it down and he does the rolling R's, and he does all like the really fun stuff, and I like a lot that the new WarioWare games like have Wario speaking like full ass sentences, like he talks like a lot in this game, there's like, he's got a number of monologues and so I think that's great. And he's doing a wonderful job.
And then the reviews for the game are out, obviously, and it's been reviewing in like, I don't know, 70-ish% out of 100, I guess you would say. A lot of 3 out of 5, 7 out of 10s, that range, which is what it is. And I guess we'll get into how we feel about it in a little bit. We can save that.
It's reviewing like a WarioWare game. This is par for the course.
Yeah, unless there's anything else. I haven't seen a lot of sales numbers for it, so maybe we'll cover that later if that comes up. I know there's been a little bit of info about that, but not enough to make big comments. So I think with that, then we will end the news for this week, and we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll give our thoughts on the new WarioWare Move It. All right, we are back, and this week we are talking about WarioWare Move It. The latest WarioWare game for the Switch just came out this past weekend, and all of us here have had a chance to play at least a little bit of it, and so we're going to talk about it. As we do often, we just kind of talk about maybe just general big picture stuff. How are we feeling so far about WarioWare Move It?
I love this game. I love it so much. This game is fucking awesome. I don't know what else to say. I have played most of it. There's still some things I have yet to do, especially in the realm of multiplayer. Jordan, there's even more 2-player modes that opened up after we stopped playing. Spoiler,
Oh, shit.
Jordan and I played this game together. And And but man, this game is so fantastic. It's so fucking funny. It's really creative, and yeah, man, I love it. I like it a lot more than Get It Together personally.
Oh, I totally agree with that statement. This is the most fun I've had with WarioWare in a long time, probably since the Wii one, which I think is the most apt comparison control wise, right? It definitely I felt like draws a lot of inspiration from.
This is like a sequel
moves.
to
It definitely
Smooth Moves.
is. Yeah. Whereas like Smooth Moves pretty much has like draws on for the most part the one Wiimote. A lot of these games why am I totally Move It? Sorry, Smooth Moves, Move It. I just had a cross brain there. I feel like a lot of these games are totally built off the double Joy-Con, right? And obviously the IR sensor in a couple of those games. But I think that the double Joy-Con use really opened up for a lot of creative minigame ideas there. So I really enjoyed a lot of those. I couldn't agree with you more that this is definitely the most fun I've had in a while. And I was fairly disappointed with maybe not disappointed, but I just didn't have that much fun with the other Switch one, Get It Together. I definitely didn't stay around with it as long as I did, or at least I feel like I will with this one. And I didn't come off of that one as immediately hot and excited as I am for this one. WarioWare's definitely got me hot and bothered this go around.
And a little sweaty at times.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, I was just thinking like, yeah, this would be a perfect crossover of like actually having some like fitness statistics to it, because David and I played this game for like 2 hours together, maybe more. And I was like, yeah, it was definitely working up a sweat, and it's like back and forth, and it's like all these little mini games. And
there is a mode that does some fitness stuff.
Yeah, it's like the muscle mode.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it's calculating, but it
gives you like a bunch of the ones that like you do like a bunch of movement on, basically. Like, and then it counts like your muscle points or whatever, like by the end of it.
Well, it's how you get buff.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is a good way to say that this game is filled with buff men, which is really, really, really great. Yeah.
I am a fair weather fan of the WarioWare franchise, not because I don't like it, but it's just one of those games I usually play it all the way through. I play all the different mini games, and I almost never go back to it. And it's not because I don't enjoy myself while I'm playing it. It's just not something that I want to spend a ton of time doing over and over and over and over again. That being said, I had a really good time playing this game with David in person, which I think a lot of the other WarioWare games were more singular experiences. So I would say like, I think this one appealed to me a little bit more in that way.
Yeah, I don't even remember if the Wii one you could play through the campaign with two people. Maybe you could. There was definitely like party modes where you played through the bulk of the mini games, but this one you literally can play through start through finish the entire campaign with two people. And I honestly thought it was better that way, because it does a really cool thing when you're doing two people in the campaign, where it'll have your player one or left side or whatever go and do one, and then player two or the right side will do another, and then you'll do a third mini game together with both of you usually, and then it'll kind of repeat that cycle, and you can kind of help each other if one of you fails on the left or right side, to kind of save a life there, because you have 4 hearts in typical WarioWare fashion, right? But I thought that was awesome mechanic wise, just kind of the back and forth there. Just kind of also just like a quick chance to learn the minigame too if you messed up.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right side, because it did, like like y'all said, you really had to work for some of those poses and stuff that they implement, and I honestly thought it got kind of hard.
Yeah,
even just like on base game.
Everybody else is given their sort of initial thing, and I think my initial thing would be a little more hesitant than y'all's, because I would say that I'm not as long-term of a fan of WarioWare. I've this my third or so one. And when it's working, I think it's my favorite one. But then there are times when, especially been playing with my kid and, either moving between things or just the IR sensor took a long time to figure out which way I was pointing and stuff like that. And some of the like second chance poses, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
Well, second chance means nothing, I think. Like, like
it doesn't.
Or I guess so.
I'm talking
never
about
mind.
like when you get the continues.
Yeah, I'm wrong. I was thinking about the break time. Yeah. The second chance poses do actually do something. Yeah.
Well, my point largely is that, I don't mind a game where I have to learn and get better at it. And this game is somewhat like that, but also sometimes just arbitrarily, I feel like the Joy-Cons aren't registering, what I want them to do. And that's been my experience. And especially playing with like a kid who is wiggly. And, you really have to, you have to have your Joy-Cons because they kind of recalibrate at the beginning every time.
That'll get thrown off.
For me, that's been thrown off. Like, because sometimes I'm like, no, you have to hold it like, oh shit, now we've missed. I think the like fast-paced WarioWare almost is kind of hard with this, at least at first. And I think the level of frustration on this game for our experience has been a little bit high. But again, when it's working and when we're in a good mood about it and can laugh about that, which isn't every time we've played, you know what I mean? Because, maybe somebody's hungry or whatever. Like,
definitely eat before. Although I will say I did that. We took a break and I ate a frittata and an English muffin. And then that frittata was bouncing around in my belly.
Yeah,
man.
there's the
I
thing.
was like,
Wait 30 minutes.
A little uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly.
I guess that like, what's working for me is that like when it's in the flow and it's going well, and I don't even necessarily mean like I'm winning, but like I feel like it's being fair, it's great. And then there are other times where it's been like, we got to put this down because it's causing too much frustration. And partly sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's the risk they took. That's the big swing. And it pays off most of the time. Just some of the poses, some of the motion control stuff hasn't worked as well as like maybe the Wiimote would have, right? Like I just think the Switch controllers just aren't as good at tracking motion. And
I agree.
I agree. Disagree. That's crazy. Sorry, go ahead. You go first, Jeremy.
Well, I was just going to say I do agree with Patrick, right? Like pretty much on every point he said there. Because as high as I am about a lot of aspects of this game, playing through it, we played through most of the story in about 2 sessions. Yeah, 2 pretty long sessions, I would say. And by the end of the second session, it was kind of like we were getting to a point of frustration on some of them that was like, okay, maybe we should take another break here and put it down for a while. Because just like Patrick said, right, like a lot of the poses, some poses more than others, just weren't registering for some reason. And I don't know if that's like straight up a faulty hardware issue, because Patrick also mentioned issues with the second chance poses that I had a bunch of, but my roommate who I played through most of this with didn't really seem to have issues with. And it's like I felt maybe I wasn't putting enough, oomph into it when I was doing it, but I certainly felt like I was, and it was just kind of doing a thing where it was like ding 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 ding, bouncing between registering and not registering, making me think that it like something was just wrong in the Joy-Con hardware. And I also at times literally thought the same thing about the Wiimote and like Wii Motion Plus and stuff, and kind of wondered, like I don't remember having this many issues with smooth moves, but I've always had problems with Joy-Con registration. I don't know if I am just really rough on mine or what, but yeah, I felt a lot of the same issues with Patrick did, but I think for the most part, we pressed on through it and got through the campaign just because of how enjoyable it was, at least for 2 adult gamers to get through, for sure. But I could understand the frustration trying to get that done. I was considering playing it with family over going home, but kind of somewhere in that experience, I was kind of like, I don't know if they would really want to deal with this, not, picking up every...
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that like this game is probably best enjoyed with someone that is going to be down to play it more than just once.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like for a brief time, like especially a lot of the party games are going to be more fun if you're familiar with the micro games already, right?
And the poses, right? Like you gotta like, and there's some, it's not a bad thing. It's just, it requires some,
learning curve.
Yeah, there's a learning curve. And
honestly, everybody here talking right now who's complaining just needs to get good, because like they are very clear on how you are meant to do it, but it is very specific.
Yeah, there's left hand, right hand issues. Like with the IR camera, in particular.
Okay,
I feel very strongly about this, David, and you can yell all you want, but I'm gonna say my piece, and you can disagree.
Okay, well, I haven't said my piece yet. Okay, this is gonna break up up the podcast.
We're done. WarioWare did it.
First of all, something they show you a 360-degree rotating body with the hands exactly how they're held. And it has on the thing, like exactly where the buttons and the joysticks are on the Joy-Con, right? So it's like, you just have to pay attention. You know what I mean? Like, I think, sure, some of you might have some faulty Joy-Cons. I didn't end up having that problem at all. I've only had problems with one microgame, and that's the one of the ones in the Nintendo section, the Wii Fit one. I have some troubles with, but other than that, though, they've all been like remarkably. Like I know the Wii one would be like, it was almost too vague, like the motions, and you could just do anything. Like these, you feel like you have to do the very specific movements that they're doing in a way that makes it feel so much more satisfying to me than the Wii game, right? I don't know. That might just be me, and I'm not trying to yell at anybody. I'm just getting heated because it makes for good content. But like, anyway, so what were you gonna say? Something?
I don't know. I guess that like your game is. I like the game. I just think that it's finicky, and maybe that's not been your experience. But I know some of the reviews I've read online have said this as well, so I know it's not just my experience. That like you're asking me to hold the Joy-Cons in a new way. You're teaching me 15 weird poses sometimes, which do require hands being, despite the fact that they have a rotating body in a specific, and then sometimes I'll look at the like, do this, not this. And I'm like, what? I can't see a difference between these, like where small slight things. It's like, I felt comfortable until you told me not to hold it like this. And now I don't know what I'm doing.
Thank God we got the video back on this podcast right now. We're doing lots of very small movements.
At any rate, it's just been frustrating at times. And again, I don't want to like spend all the time talking about this, but the IR sensor took me a long time to figure out, because I swear to you, they're showing the mirror image of like the handed I was. And you're jumping from one where it requires the IR sensor to one where it's not. And so I'm like, well, I don't think WarioWare needs to have like a practice mode, but this one kind of felt like it might need a practice mode or like a review mode or something for me to be like, can I just sit here and figure out where this IR sensor is?
There kind of is. Like if you go into like the micro games, you can sort by pose and you could just practice them that way.
Yeah, that's probably what I should have done.
Yeah, I think for that IR sensor one, it took me way too long to figure it out. I think, David, we failed the first game that I did because I was like, I literally don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. That's what I've said a lot in this game, is like, I literally don't know what I'm supposed to do when I'm frustrated,
But I will also say, like, on that note, David and I also figured out that this is one of the few games where having the hand straps is actually probably pretty clutch.
It's required?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You have to drop it, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to do the drop ones?
Well, I played without it for a while, and I was like, yeah, after David's frittata break, he found me some, and so I did it without, and it was much easier for sure. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the hand straps are almost required, but it's like for so many games on the Switch, I just have my hand straps are just like tucked away somewhere. So I'm like, I forgot where mine are even right now. I don't even know where mine are. So it's like such a weird choice to just be like, no, this is required now.
Yeah.
At the same time, I kind of like that they did implement that, because there are some that I feel like literally have to use the hand strap. Like there's one I think where, because there's a whole pose, or at least like a modification on poses where you basically drop your Joy-Cons, and from there, like they have some where you like have to swing your Joy-Cons and stuff. I guess like I'm sure there's ways to kind of implement that motion without. There you go.
You can kind of for the audio listeners, it's like you can kind of like pinch the end of the Joy-Con and kind of like mimic that it's like falling, but that's just not fun. It doesn't. It feels like it's like you're emulating a DS game on a Steam Deck with the screens side by side. It's like the input the game is designed around using the wrist strap as another input method, which is pretty cool. It's like I don't know of any other game that does that. Every other game that has the wrist strap, it's just like, hey, we put this on your wrist so you don't break your TV, you fucking idiot. It's like, no. This game actually like uses it in pretty interesting ways. Like dropping the Joy-Con out of your hand purposefully is such a cool idea, right? And then also other ways that the wrist strap just makes things easier is anything that requires pressing the SL and SR buttons is much easier to do when you're wearing the wrist strap and little, the extra button girth that you have on the controller. And then also what you guys were talking about with the IR sensor one, what it wants you to do is drop the controller that's in your left hand and then hold the right controller in your left hand and then basically hold it as taut as it can be away from your right hand, right? So the idea is the wrist strap.
Well, so simple.
It shows you how to do it with a 3D render.
Well, then I'm an idiot. If you want to call me an idiot,
not long enough.
I'm not calling you an idiot. Those are your words. I said get good. Okay, I didn't say you're an idiot. Nintendo said you're an idiot by making you wear these things when you play. Making you lie about wearing them when you play Switch Sports. But anyway, there is a screen on Nintendo Switch Sports that says, "I am wearing the wrist strap," and you can't
say
not
no.
say that. I can only lie. It's like forcing me to lie. But anyway, see, for me, I liked it. I mean, I can see this being frustrating for people who have Joy-Cons and like threw their fucking wrist straps away or have no idea where they are. You know what I mean? Luckily, I had 2 sets of wrist straps like under my TV in a basket that I had to dig through, but I found them,
Yeah.
So like, but either way though, I mean, I think you're right, Patrick. It's your mileage may vary. And I think that you can't be wrong in that like other people have had this experience, right? I think they all need to get good, but I mean, like if you're not willing to get good, then this game might not be very fun.
That's where it's frustrating, though, to be honest with you, is that like I'll play a game like Hollow Knight and I'll lose and I'll be like, if I practice, I'll get better. But there were times at this where I'm like, I just need to like quit this game and like figure out what it's asking me to do because I just can't in the moment figure out the hold, or I literally feel like it's just not registering my movements on certain things. And so that doesn't feel like something you can just get good at, you know what I mean? But I've talked about this more than maybe I want to. I want to talk about the rest of the game too.
Well, just like one last thing, I was like, I do agree with that. Like sometimes it's so fast that I can't figure out, like I was having the issue of, I can't figure out exactly what I'm supposed to do in this mini game. Like it is just going so quick and I'm switching poses between every game. And I just, especially the remixes, I think were probably like particularly chaotic because I'm like, well, now I have like 10 poses I'm trying to switch between and I can't remember all the poses correctly. And then also I can't remember exactly what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to turn the Joy-Cons or whatever. So
yeah, sometimes just adjusting the Joy-Cons back into that weird position takes a while or whatever.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that is where I appreciated really playing with another player, e.g. David, because I would be like, shit, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, oh, yeah, you got to hold it like this. Or like he was like, we could help each other along of like, to get through each game when we were playing. So
I just like really studied those poses. Like when they were on the screen, I like tried to make my body exactly like down to like the angle of my wrists, like where they're sitting on me, making sure that my hands are the correct formation. Like
I think that pays off. I think you kind of have to, or you don't have to, but I think that like,
I think you do have to.
It requires a lot of more precision than any other motion game on the Switch I've played just about, and
I think that this kind of like complaint, like I think is a complaint that a lot of people have with WarioWare franchise in general.
Yeah. It's
because like they don't want you, they want you to fuck up. In the moment and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get that. Like that's like on purpose.
Chaos is part of it for sure.
Exactly. Like they want it to, and then this game, don't think that they know they're making overly complicated poses on purpose to add to the joke factor of it. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe we can just move away from the controls for a second and just talk a bit about that. Like, cause I mean, this is like one of the funniest games I've ever fucking played in my life. Like it takes a lot for me to like laugh out loud at things when I'm by myself, but I was like cracking up, dude, like playing this game and so much of it is the timing of it. Like, and this has been true about the whole, and I'm such a huge fan of the WarioWare franchise, so I'm going to be really biased about all this stuff, but it's like like when you finally get what the joke of the game is, only for it to immediately end and move you on to the next thing, is a formula that personally does not get old for me. Like I just was laughing every single time. And then even like playing the micro games over and over again and getting the different variations for like intermediate difficulty and hard difficulty gives you like a new like punchline, as it were, for each of the micro games. And I don't know, for me, I love that so much. I don't know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, I think the micro games are really great, and I think there is a lot of humor, and I think it's just super creative, like because of the controls. So it's like what's good about it, you know what I mean? Is also that, like, because there's some wild stuff you're doing with flipping sushi and I don't even know, you know what I mean? Yeah, yep. Like all kinds of stuff, like and the humor in that.
Fanning the fur off of a dog that is your friend. Like your friend turns around in a circle and you fan the fur off of his body. Like, that's awesome.
I think the most stressful one for us, David, was it's like in pounce pose, which is you have to put your Joy-Cons down on a table, a flat surface. And there's like a boss battle where you have to like flip meat, you're like robot hands, and you have to flip meat as it's like
hard.
rotating around, and so you have to wait for it to be done on one side before you flip it on the other, and then you have to plate it by flipping your Joy-Cons. But then there's like
a different
5
motion,
pieces of meat rotating all around, and so David and I are like, okay, this one's coming around, I can't do it here, this arm is almost out of battery, and we were just like standing there just like stressing, trying to make sure none of this,
and we're like hunched over the table too, like our like lower backs were hurting, like
those boss ones got really creative, especially on 2P with stuff like that, with having to do cooking. And there's like a board game one that you did that we did that was pretty fun. There were a couple of really creative ones where you'd like, or just with the different poses too, where you like had to like type basically. Just a lot of really cool implementations.
That one's really hard because it's like you're using all like your index fingers and your ring finger and stuff. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think in the humor, obviously, in all WarioWare games is great, but in this one is great in terms of the micro games. And I don't know, we didn't like the cutscenes. I don't think they're especially new or better. I don't, but like the intro.
I thought they were pretty on par, which is always, at least for me, some of my favorite part of the series, right? Like the characters and the universe there, I think is people who've been playing the game for a while, their favorite part, right? Like, or not, maybe not their favorite part, but a big part of it is definitely kind of the characters that the universe brings. And I really always find it interesting playing through the story, but I felt like there wasn't much Wario until the end. I love that it's a Wario game. Pretty much he gets knocked away at the very beginning.
That's right. So yeah, we could maybe just say that he wins this vacation for him and 20 of his friends. And so the whole gang goes to this like island, right? Or resort. And then Wario gets thrust away and you're kind of going through all the different characters.
Which is always a blast, all the different, little sagas or whatever, the little vignettes that you go through with those characters there. And
I like the remix where they like all kind of come together for the remix parts.
And they have an actual cinematic for that too, which is great. Yeah. And they always end up on a tour bus. Did you have something you were going to say, Jordan?
Oh, I was just going to go around, like, who was your favorite character? I mean, who's y'all's favorite character in the game so far?
I mean, I love Mona. I've always loved Mona. So Mona's really great for me. Krygor's story was really fantastic. It had an element of time travel. Spoiler. Can you spoil WarioWare?
Yeah, the story in WarioWare. I think we just did.
There's some time travel shenanigans. That's probably one of mine. What about you guys?
Well, I liked Ashley a lot. I'm always a big Ashley fan.
Yes.
Her games are really good. Her poses are where I think the tug of war and scales poses, and I just thought that was a really solid set of mini games through that too. Plus, always really entertaining with her and her little demon dude that she's going around with. So that was really good. The 9-volt ones I think are always some fan favorites there because they throw in the Nintendo kind of remix stuff. But then another personal favorite was Jimmy, just kind of surfing through everything with the dolphins and stuff. I also thought that his poses were really good and made for a solid set there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ashley, and then I also like Cricket and Mantis's. Just the fact that it looked like a fighting game. I thought it was kind of cool.
I like
just
that a lot too. The aesthetic. Yeah, they were fighting some like bears or something that came in.
Penguin, buff penguins.
That's right. It was some buff penguins that came in. Yeah, that was awesome. That was really good.
Yeah, I'm a 9-volt fan just personally. Like every single WarioWare game I've ever played, I just love the 9-volt because they just find a really interesting and creative way to go back to something you're very familiar with. And this is just no different. Like every mini game, I'm like, there's maybe a couple where I was like, that's a deep cut. But a lot of them, I loved every single one of them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some of the deep cuts were really great in that. At the risk of spoiling some of them, I was very surprised to see Mario Pinball Land representation in this game, complete with the original graphic style.
Is that the one with the boo where you?
Yeah. It was like a GBA pinball, a pretty bad game actually, but it's here in WarioWare, which is fantastic.
I just disagree. I think the game was fine. I don't know. That's another.
We're really at each other's throats this episode.
It's good. Strong opinions are good. If we can all get along. We kind of talked inadvertently maybe about the campaign, which is the sort of story mode or whatever, that's 1 to 2 players, and you kind of progress on a world map like you do in a lot of these games recently. But there's also what I understand again from skimming reviews is a decently nice party game mode. I know it sounded like Jordan, you and David played a little bit of this. I played a little bit of the doctor one with my son, which was weird and fun.
We played that one and I was like, I'm cool not playing this again.
I think there's like a social element of it that could be fun for the right people, but also just felt like, I think we're just going to ignore that aspect of it.
Maybe just to explain how it works. It's basically like you do the micro game while the person that you're playing with watches you, and they're supposed to be doing something while they're doing it. So it's like standing like you have to pee or like with your mouth open or something like that. And then you're supposed to vote on if they did it right at the end. I feel like it's them trying to do Jackbox. And we were like, this either would work with very drunk adults or children. And that's basically it. Yeah.
What about some of the other ones? Did you all have a good experience with the other party game elements?
I think my favorite, even though it was entirely chaotic, was the Mario Party-esque one. It was like, what is it called? Galactic something?
Yeah, I was trying to find it. But it's basically like a board game. But it takes the randomness and chaos of Mario Party and ramps it up to like an 11.
Yeah, like we switched. It was just us two playing, and literally every single turn we switched who was winning or not, pretty much. Yeah. Like it was just complete chaos, and whoever won at the end was just luck at a certain point. It wasn't like, you could win the mini game, but it was still like, you roll a dice and then you get minus 10 times whatever dice you rolled. And it's like, well, all the points that I just won by winning the mini game are out the window. It doesn't even matter. But it was pretty fun. I actually really enjoyed that mode. And I could see that with 4 people being just like pure chaos. And there's a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's one mode in there that sounded really awesome that is only for 4 people. Like you can't play it with 2. And that one was like, just as a quick sidebar, that was basically you split into 2 teams of 2, and both of the people on the same team do the micro game, but only one person is actually doing it. And so the other team has to try to figure out who was faking it. And that one seemed like a really, really fun game that I'd love to try at some point.
I like that idea.
Yeah. We should definitely get together 4 people, because it was like even the 2-player party games were fun with 2 people, but you could tell they would be more fun with 4 people.
4.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Overall, does the content in this game feel like enough for y'all for a $50 new WarioWare game? Like I enjoy it a lot, so it's hard for me to say yet how I feel. Like I'm still kind of in it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure yet my answer, but sounds like y'all might have played more than me. So I'm kind of curious where y'all are standing on that.
I feel like the content is there. Like, if you're like general recommendation wise, if you're thinking about picking up WarioWare and you like those games, you have interest in it, I say, yeah, go for it. It's the most fun I've had with WarioWare in a long time. I feel like personally, the party games have always been kind of hit or miss to that extent, right? Like, some of them are really cool, really good ideas that are executed really well. Some of them are just kind of like, okay, exactly like David said, right? Like, we're going to play, I'm good with never ever going back to this again, honestly. And, I think that's fine. If there's a couple there that keep people playing for, a few hours at parties, I think that's enough. I was kind of blown away by how much we had fun playing the 2-player co-op story mode. So that was a huge plus. And I think that all the typical like replayable modes outside of the remix stuff are there, like just like hard endless mode, etc. I think most of that stuff is still there as far as I'm understanding. I didn't get all the way through everything, but most of that stuff seemed like it was kind of on there. So I enjoyed it. I thought, the reviews sounded about right. 7.5. It's probably go maybe a little bit higher, maybe 7.5, 8, if I had to say. But for $50, it's not exactly budget, but
yeah, I think it's budget for Nintendo first party. I think budget, without being like a GameCube re-release, I guess they're doing those at 40 or 30. I don't know. Who knows how Nintendo prices their shit? Yeah, it's like, this is not a $60 release. I think for the price, you're getting a lot of microgames.
I think there's like 220 microgames or something, somewhere around there, which I think is pretty on par with how those games have been, except for
I think it's
Super
more
Pack DS one.
I think it's more than Get It Together had, and Get It Together was really fun, and I did really like that game. I don't regret getting that game either. But it was a lot less straightforward than this game, right? It was like using your characters on the screen to affect microgames. It felt like a WarioWare spinoff. This feels like back to true form, right? Like, and I think, for me, I'm looking forward to playing the modes I like to play are like the super remix ones, and this is one of the few games where it's like actually fun to try to really go for a high score and try to see everything that you can in this game, So I'm looking forward to doing that personally, just because I love that style. It was actually really fun to stream. It was challenging. I had to like stand up and raise my camera and try to get my whole body in as much as I could. I was getting really sweaty, especially with the headphones on. but it was a fun game to stream for that purpose. I'll probably try to do that again. And I think you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with this game.
Yeah, we already talked about this, but I just wanted to hit on it again because you mentioned this getting sweaty and stuff. That some of this, I don't know that you can qualify it as like tons of exercise, but holding your hands up, for an extended period of time or out for an extended period of time, it's like there you are gonna like get some of the funny poses and stuff, especially the second chance stuff. Some of those are pretty wild with like stretching your body around. So
I would not recommend this. This is not an exercise replacement.
No, but you're moving, right? Like, and I think in some of the poses in particular are a little bit like, man, I don't have a lot of strength to hold my arms up for a long time. I'm realizing. So if it inspires you to exercise, maybe.
For what it's worth, my watch registered 500 steps in the 2 hours that David and I played. I don't know what metric that means. I don't know what that means, but that's just what I noticed. I looked at it before we started, and I looked at it when we were done. I was like, 0.5K, 500 steps. Okay, all right.
As somebody who wears Fitbit while playing fitness boxing, those are rookie numbers. I
think y'all's Fitbits must be calibrated different.
This is just like a different... whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, it is rookie numbers, but I also run. So thanks, David.
Yeah, I'm totally fucking around. But man, I'm just the villain on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is there anything else we've forgotten to say that or anything specific anybody wants to mention as we kind of wrap this up?
One quick thing I'll just mention. We talked about it already a lot, but at least with get it together, right? I guess I thought it was interesting that to me, it felt like Nintendo was kind of moving away from the Joy-Con kind of gimmick stuff for a while, and that it had been a while since anything had been really used anything like HD Rumble or whatever it's called, or anything like that, or the IR sensors. Because I know Get It Together pretty much was like playable on Switch Lite, right? Like I think that maybe that had a lot to do with it, with the marketing push around Switch Lite, but I guess they're far enough away from that now that they're comfortable with just saying like, look, you need a set of Joy-Cons to play this game, and we straight up built it around that. So I do appreciate kind of the the developer direction behind that they put in there.
That's funny too, because the Get It Together poster actually even has Joy-Cons on it, as you can
Detached,
see there. Yeah, the cover art, but I have it up on my wall there for the audio listeners. But I something I liked about this, and I think I brought this up earlier, but it's like with the Joy-Cons being more precise, something that I've noticed is you really have to commit to the poses in this. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure that there is like a way to kind of half-ass every single micro game, but there are 200 of them. And coming up with like hacks to play 200 individual games lazily is so much harder than just full ass committing to the full motion, right? And like even like some of them where it's like, oh, you have to like tilt your body to a certain degree. It's like if you don't go all the way, it's not gonna register, you know? And so that's something that I absolutely love about this series ever since WarioWare Twisted, right? Which is my favorite in the series still. You can't play that game without looking like an absolute doofus, you know? And it's the same with this too. It's like something that I loved about this and playing this with Jordan is that we were two grown-ass men with no embarrassment, or like, it was like we were just doing the goofiest shit and just committing fully to it and not being like, oh my God, I look so dumb right now. I don't look cool. It's like, no, you're never gonna look cool playing this game, right? And I think that the game enjoys putting people in situations where you're gonna like feel a little embarrassed or feel a little goofy, you know. And I think I just love that there's a series like that. Right? And it makes me miss Rhythm Heaven for the same reason, right? Like anything that makes you do stupid shit while playing, I'm into.
I'm just like, dude, what does Scales pose look like with 4 people? Because David and I, when it was Scales pose, we had to like step away from each other and kind of like angle our bodies.
Yeah, or like put our arms above or below each other.
Yeah, it's like, what does Scales pose look like for 4 people in a row? Sorry, that just when you were talking about that, I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare. Like layering in front of each other. I don't know what that looks like. If you know, please let me know. Yeah,
I really enjoy that. And that's something I've always loved about this series. And I just really enjoy that. Sorry, I ran out of steam on that sentence.
That's great. Well, I think that's going to do it then for our discussion on WarioWare Move It. If you picked it up and have any thoughts, definitely share them with us and we'll try to shout you out next time. And with that, we're going to take another short break and come back and talk about the games we've been playing recently. I played a lot of the same things I've been talking about, so I'll just quickly go over it. I played a little more Sonic Superstars. Still enjoying that okay. Some Mario Wonder, still working my way through that one with the family. I'm always playing Salmon Run. And then I played some Smash Ultimate quite a bit with my cousin the other night. I don't think I've played anything else. I mean, WarioWare was the big one, and that's kind of what dominated the weekend. So I don't think I have anything real new or interesting to talk about. Maybe next week. We'll see.
I'll go next. I have been playing Apex again. They put out the new season, and this season they put out actually a new character, and it's a character that should have come out a long time ago. So I got sucked back in because some of my friends got sucked back in. So we've been playing that. The new character is like a shield healer. There was a health healer for a long time since the beginning of the game, and we're like 20 seasons in, and they just added someone who heals your shields, which should have been a long time ago. But anyway, pretty good new character. But anyway, other than that, I kind of was trying to round out my Super Mario Brothers Wonder 100% run. And I'm now at what I think is the last level. I won't say any spoilers for the listeners who have not finished it, but I believe this is the last level. and I have not beaten it yet, but I also honestly haven't sat down and give it an earnest try. So that's kind of, I just know I need to set aside like 30 minutes to an hour to just do it. But man, what a fantastic game. I love it a lot. I know people are like either way on it, or some people are, everyone's like, it's at least an 8, I'm like, dude, that game was, for me, 10 out of 10. I just had a great time. I do have complaints about it, but my complaints do not overshadow the fact that like I just absolutely had a blast playing it. And any complaint I had is so minuscule to the amount of joy that I felt while I was just running through the game. So for me, probably a 10 out of 10, but I'm also a little bit looser, I think, on my 10 out of 10s than a lot of people. But and so when I was playing Wonder, I did take a break from Sea of Stars, but now that I'm pretty close to the end of Wonder, I have dipped back into Sea of Stars before I forget too much, because it's only been about 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, 2 weeks is enough for me to jump back into Sea of Stars and kind of know where I'm going. If it was any longer than that, I think I would have just completely forgot what was going on. So I jumped back into that, probably played another like 3 or 4 hours of that. About 2/3 of the way through the game, and just still fantastic game. I know this 2023 is probably the year of too many Game of the Year contenders, I think is the official title of 2023. But for me, this is definitely top 5 for the year. I really love this game. It just really hits all the right notes, and it has not gotten stale to me yet. Other than that, that's about it, man.
I think picking the game of the year is the game of the year this year. It's too many to pick from. It's very challenging. It's the Souls-like of deciding what game is best. But anyway, I've been playing some games. I rolled credits on Alan Wake, the original Alan Wake, for the Xbox 360. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. Great game. I still have like 2 like bonus chapters or episodes, they call them in the game, that came with the Steam version that I'm going to play. I don't think I'm going to play American Nightmare, the like kind of standalone DLC that they released for it, because I'm basically trying to like play games up to Alan Wake 2, because I've been reading a bunch of stuff about Alan Wake 2 and I really want to play that game now, right? And now that I've like completed the first Alan Wake, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to play this. So yeah, I'm going to finish those 2 things on there. But then I also picked up on my Steam Deck Control. Jordan and I were talking about this past week, but I do know that Control shares a universe with the Alan Wake games. And from what I understand, Alan Wake 2 references a lot of Control and a lot of the first Alan Wake. And so everybody that I've been talking to has been saying, if you want to play Alan Wake 2, play Alan Wake in Control first. And so I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I got like about halfway through Control on my first playthrough on the Xbox, and I'm down to play it again. So I'm going to start it over. And especially now that I've beaten Remedy's other game, Alan Wake, I'm looking forward to revisiting Control. And I've got the expansions on that as well that have some like Alan Wake themed DLC as well. So I'm excited to kind of dive all into that world right now. I'm having a really good time with it as I make my way up to that game. And then obviously WarioWare, played a lot of WarioWare Move It over the past few days. I did get something in the mail today. It's in the background of my video right now. I haven't been able to actually set it up yet because it just came in when I got back from work today, but it's an RGB 50, I think it's called, by Powkitty. It's a little retro handheld with a square screen. Looking forward to installing a bunch of Pico 8 games on that sumbitch and turning that into a Pico 8 machine. I've been looking up a lot of Pico 8 stuff actually, and it's making me want to like try my hand at maybe like making a little game or something. Feels like you have to know Lua in order to program on Pico 8, which seems like it's kind of maybe a little difficult to learn. Do you know Lua, Patrick?
No.
Yeah.
That's an arcane one. It feels like, again, I don't know for sure that it is, but it's kind of a
I don't know if like Pico 8
language.
is like the best thing to start on. It seems like it's like a hobby device for people that already know how to program games. And by device, I mean a made up fantasy console. But I keep thinking that Monochrome Heights would be really great as a Pico 8 game, and maybe I'll port your game to Pico 8 as a way to learn how to make new games, so I don't have to actually come up with anything. But anyway, lastly, I do want to say I've been completely smitten and addicted with Suika game. This game kind of took the internet a bit by storm. It's like kind of like the new meme game that everybody's playing right now. But boy, howdy, I love this fucking thing. It is like basically, I streamed it last night, and somebody referred to it as Tetris with circles, which is totally what it is. It's like you basically drop different fruits and they can evolve into bigger fruits if you combine two of the same fruit. It's like 2 cherries makes a strawberry, 2 apples makes a cantaloupe, 2 cantaloupes makes a peach, right? And so like the goal is to get as many points as possible, but the biggest one that you can make is a watermelon, or suika in Japanese, which is why it's called Suika game. And I've done that now. I've actually made a watermelon, which felt really fucking good. I actually made one on stream last night and I popped the fuck off. That was really awesome. My new goal is to try to combine 2 watermelons and see if I can do that. I feel like once I do that, I will have beaten the game. But man, this is a very cute game and it's like really addictive. And it's like, while I should have been doing other things, I've just been playing Suika game and having a ton of fun. And obviously still playing a lot of Picross and Logic Grimoire, but that's mainly what I've been playing this past week. What about you, Jeremy?
Well, shout outs to Apex Legends. A lot of good games mentioned here. Great points about the Game of the Year stuff too. I did play a little bit of the new Apex stuff. There was this game called The Finals that ran beta like for the past week or two, that kind of came out of nowhere, I felt like, and I sank a lot of time into that. I think that it's closed now, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to that game. I think it's by some of like ex-DICE developers, which are the Battlefield guys. And you could just really feel it in the gameplay, the gunplay, the destruction and stuff. They've got some really cool objective-based gameplay going on there. It's all pretty like, fairly tame. There's no like blood or anything. It's all like game show virtual type like theme stuff. So that I thought was pretty cool. And again, just kind of love seeing some people from DICE finally doing something that was making people excited again. I also finished up Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation. That was really cool. Probably going to try and get platinum on that. That took a while, that actually took a while, a lot longer than I expected to beat, based on what I had seen some other people had some other people say about it. I thought that the length of that game was pretty great, and really loved it. Definitely in my Game of the Year conversations. And then lastly, just wanted to give a quick shout out to this new Alien Hominid game that came out this past like week too, which also I felt like kind of came out of nowhere and really didn't get marketed at all. I felt like basically it's called Alien Hominid Invasion. I think they also dropped the Behemoth, the developers. I think they also dropped a remaster of Alien Hominid HD, or the original Alien Hominid basically. So I think you can find like a bundle that has both of them for like $25 or something, which is a pretty fair price for how much game you're getting there really for both of those. And I think everybody, if you know Behemoth, Alien Hominid original already. So briefly, I'll just mention Alien Hominid Invasion is a really kind of interesting take on the formula where it's kind of roguelike in that you just kind of keep running room to room on a run, essentially powering up your characters throughout the run, kind of getting new guns and stuff. And it's like got 4-player co-op too, which was getting really zany playing that. So it all works online. I think you can take a guest online too. Everything was super smooth, super, really well put together package in the time that we played it over the past week or so. So really recommend that if you're looking for some cool arcade co-op fun.
Nice. Well, I think then that's going to do it for this episode on WarioWare. Move it. Jeremy, thanks for coming on and talking with us. Really appreciate you.
Yep, absolutely. Pleasure to have me. Hopefully talk to y'all soon.
And thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, you can find me most places, SPDYX.
You can find me online at Bordan, mostly on Instagram and the Discord.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Jeremy? Where can people find you online?
You can find me at Poop Stump on regular Discord gaming software apps. Whatever.
Very good.
You know what I mean.
Very good. You can find Poop Stump there. We love Poop Stump and all the scripts at sea. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, SwitchHeadz.com. And then, of course, you can join our Discord, like we were just talking about. We got a wonderful Discord, great community, wonderful people. So join us over there and on our Facebook group. We'll have links to both of those in the description of this episode, whether you watch it on YouTube or listen to it on Spotify or Apple or any of these other podcast services. If you do that on YouTube, we'd love if you would go over there. Do. Okay, guys, come on, let's grow up. If you if you caca on YouTube, you can shoot us a like and a subscribe. We'd love that over there. We put a lot of work into the video portion of this as well. And thank you to our YouTube watchers today. You guys know what's up. We're going to be back next week with a brand new, awesome episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. But until then, you guys know the drill. Be safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Free fucking Palestine. And we love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm having a burp over here.